said Andrew made it. Streaming. Make my window big. Make my window small. Check my stream. Go to streaming. People can hear me.
Extreme stream.
My streaming is not going.
That's what you should call it. You should call it the extreme.
All right, go streamy.
It's very early.
He does not want to stream. All right, we'll just jump into the world editor here. We'll add my camera back in. People can hear me talking. Where'd my editor go? There we go. Okay. So forgive me if I do anything weird or sound funny at all. I'm all jacked up on allergy medication, and the allergy shit's really bad here. Make sure that I'm streaming okay. I don't have my sound on. It's off, and you guys can hear me. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I went through a bunch of notes that I finally dug up from right before we went to DragonCon, or right after we got back from DragonCon, and there are a bunch of things that need to get done for the environment that I was working on before DragonCon. So I've got a page and a half of notes, all different kinds of things, like the grass is too glossy, we need a new greenish area in there, larger warps, fix the tree roots, slightly smaller clover, more terrain noise. All of this is just getting down to kind of doing some cleanup in the next pass. I'm certainly not going to get it all done in the next couple of hours. Why are the trees green? Is it moss on all sides, magic trees? I'm just used to normal brown bark. Yeah, it's partly being artsy too. Just the green is a really great contrast with the orange in there. But what I do want to do is blend some other materials into the trees so that we have like mossy bottoms in certain areas or brown or more brown areas. That's one of the things. A lot of times these things get created off of like a concept sketch, and the concept sketch doesn't necessarily figure out all the little pieces and how everything's going to fit together. So when it gets put together, you start coming up with, oh, do I want to change this? Do I want to change that? But the idea is those little concept pieces just give you the tone. So that idea was the mossy trees. So what I'm going to do is probably, as this gets developed, is break out an area that's kind of the mossier look, and I'm going to change the terrain a little bit so that there's kind of a greenish mossy area with dirt and leaves on it, and then transition into an area that's mostly the dead leaves, and I'll probably change the bark up a little bit so it's not just literal green, just so there's some variation in it. A lot of other concepts that will probably be part of a Pass 2.0. But for now, I'm just trying to go through a list of, add some more details in there. We've got a lot of areas where there's just big kind of steady slopes, and one of the problems is that the trees look for specific values where to put them, and when you've got a really just even slope, you start getting like lines of trees where they're separated out by their collision spacing and the slope angle. So I'm going to go in and add some noise there to break that up. Got some texture variations for saplings. If I jump into Maya, I'll try and remember to switch my screens up because it's going to be focused on my right screen where it's got the editor. I'll give you guys a pretty good picture here. And for anybody who hasn't seen this before, the editor shows kind of different visuals, just shadow and lighting than the actual game. So it won't look as dark in the game. There's still optimizing to do in here. All these ferns need a pass. I'm fairly excited to get into that when we can. Right now I need Dion's help for that, and I've got her in Material World for stone healer placeable rocks, a kind of stand-in temporary instant portal rock, and weapon materials. So we're also going through an entire pass of like each of the different type of weapons so that we can figure out their layouts. Really happy with John and Dion said to me this morning they'd figured out a lot of pipeline stuff just to kind of smooth off some of the rough edges, things that we encountered, little things that'll make the process faster, and that's great because I asked them to do that last week and they have. So I'm going to put some music on, and I am going to try and put some upbeat music because I'm kind of dying here. I've had 3 cups of coffee and some pseudoephedrine. And let me, I'm going to pull up the chat here if you guys have any questions before I get started. What about swampy and moss hanging from branches? That would be kind of a different biome altogether. However, the current version of this is just one version, and we'll probably use it as a starting point to do not only not a starting point for realm variations, because we have some things that have done realm variations, but we'll probably use it for a starting point for seasonal variation. And then kind of blend that in with the different realm variations. So this kind of autumny default, we'll probably figure out what things to keep and what things to change for which realm it belongs to, but overall it's got this obvious autumn feel. So I'd like to do a version where we take all the trees and kind of go the next part where there's just a few leaves on them, lots of dead branches. I'd probably like to segue this into a Arthurian version as well, where it's a little bit more green and less literally autumn orange everywhere. So that might be a good place to do like hanging moss and things like that, just so that you could go into it and you could say, oh, this is, you know, that realm or that realm. So yeah, same question there with ivy vines and stuff. That'll all be either a variation of this biome or it will be a different biome. I've got some, we've got a bunch of ideas for just kind of a swampy area too, which I don't know if it'll be its own biome or if we'll use it as little sections of swamp within a biome, but I think that'll be a lot of fun, and we'll probably do a lot of fun spooky stuff. I've got little sketches on my 3 different notepads here of different ideas for funky looking trees. Any other questions? I'm going to put music on I'm going to have to remove later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the stream momentarily, and that way, since I'm not playing any music, I won't have to mute everything after the fact. Just a really fun album I was listening to on the way to work that got me all pumped, and I want to listen to it. So I'm going to stop the stream for a second, and then I will come back, and I'll just be working.